All kidding aside, we're ready to start our induction ceremony for the class of 2019. And as we hear tonight, you'll see that this class of 2019 has set themselves apart from many other coaches, athletes, and contributors of Triton High School. We'll begin tonight by inducting Larry Lemler, who is a 1969 graduate of Triton High School. During his 4 years at Triton, Larry was a member of the basketball and cross-country teams. As a local business owner of 46 years, Larry has served the Triton School Corporation in many ways over many years. Under Larry's ownership, Lemler Oil has always been a positive supporter of Triton Athletics. The Triton Athletic Department has always been able to count on Larry to purchase advertising, meals for our teams, or anything else that may be needed along the way. Larry was a longtime member of the Triton School Board, serving from July 1st, 1990 to December 31st, 2006. During his 4 terms as a Triton School Board member, the school saw many positive changes. In my research to determine the length of Larry's tenure on the school board, I contacted Triton School Corporation Secretary Anita Haynes, and she told me this: Larry was on the board a very long time. She said, "I've heard that dinosaurs were still roaming the earth," and that he personally knows Father Time. You can take it up with her, Larry. It's just what she said, and I have the email to prove it. Some of Larry's other contributions include coaching youth basketball, keeping stats for both boys and girls basketball, a boys basketball bookkeeper, and longtime member of the Triton football gang. Chang gang, not football gang, but Chang gang. Larry was also instrumental in helping the girls basketball coach Mark Heater and boys basketball coach Jason Groves prepare for their state championships by running all over the state of Indiana to pick up game films on their opponents. And he probably had a few tips on strategies as well. Larry was a member of the first Hall of Fame selection committee. Larry's knowledge about Triton athletics and our history is top-notch, and it's proved to be valuable as he's helped select the first classes of the Triton Athletic Hall of Fame. Larry is currently semi-retired, spending his winters in Florida. He's married to Donna Lemler, and they have 3 children, Brian, Matt, and Jason, and 2 grandchildren, Addison and Jackson. In his free time, Larry enjoys playing golf and pickleball, watching sporting events, and spending time with family. Larry's efforts have helped to make the Triton Athletic Department successful. We thank Larry for his many contributions to the Triton Athletic Department and are truly blessed to call Larry one of our own. Accepting the award tonight is Larry Lemler. Please help me welcome Larry. Hang on. Thank you. This time, I officially induct Larry Lemler into the Triton Athletic Hall of Fame.
Everybody's been asking me if I have my speech ready, and I think mainly they're worried about what I'm going to say about them. I'm not sure it's a length of time, but I think it's probably about what comments I might make about them. First, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for electing me into the Hall of Fame. It is a tough job because I've sat there and you go through the people that we have that's represented our school, played in our school, and it's not easy to decide who you want to nominate and put in. I'd like to thank the administration for being here tonight, and the school board, and the administration. I was talking to Ted Chittum the other day, and from being on the school board, Ted and I were discussing some of the people that are here tonight, and during my tenure on the board, we hired some very good individuals, and Jeremy and Bob, Coach Groves, Coach Eunice, Mike Byron, we've people that are part of this athletic department. We're really proud that we hired. We also hired Mason during my tenure. He's still a work in progress, but he'll get there. So, we do appreciate him too. As far as how I guess I became a contributor to begin with, my dad contributed before me, and when we first consolidated, I was in 7th grade, and our baseball coach at that time asked Dad if he would print up some basketball schedules. So we have been contributing ever since we've had a school corporation. And later on, my dad always kept score at the ball games. And, he'd make up his own scorecard because we just had some paper like we do now, and he didn't like that. So he contacted a printer that was in town at that time, Brian Robbins, and he said, we need a nicer scorecard so people can keep score. And so Dad and Brian contacted 2 or 3 other businesses in town, and they sponsored that. And until we came out with the big program that we used for several years, we continued to use that same scorecard that Dad was really responsible for getting. So, I started out, I just carried on a tradition that he had started. And then I guess, the other thing, we've always advertised on the radio, and I've thought about that too, that's something that really wasn't going to generate much business for us. But my grandma was a invalid, semi-invalid, and she used to listen to baseball games. And I've thought about it, I thought, if there's parents, grandparents out there that can't go to ball games, and if I could do something to help them so they can listen to their granddaughters, kids, whoever play, it's worthwhile. So, those are some things you do. And I also think, that being in a small town, that it's your responsibility to help your school. And, we know everybody. We're pretty much family. And so, that's something we've always done. I'm going through here and I'm thinking about things that I forgot to do, which I already have, because I was going to introduce my family. Mason already did that, but my wife, Donna, my 3 sons, Brian, Matt, and Jason, their wives, Amanda and Lisa, and my 2 grandkids, Addie and Jack. And last night at the ball game, I got reminiscing that Addie wanted to go over and see one of the cheerleaders at halftime. And then during the varsity game, she didn't want to come back. She wanted to stay with the cheerleaders. And she did. And I can remember back when it was Bourbon, and I'd go to the ball games, and I'd sit there, and I always sat in the middle of the cheer block with a good friend of mine that has passed on, Doug Westhafer. And it was like I always thought, why they let us sit there, I don't know. But they did, And that's something we get in our community that you're not going to get in a big school. They're not going to let the kids do those things, but we were fortunate enough to get to do that. And so I appreciated that. I've said that, I kept stats and have done several things, that. The chain gang, and I thought about the night when Benji was in here. The only time I ever come close to getting hurt when I was running the chains, Benji hit me in the thigh one night. Wasn't his fault. I mean, he had no place to go. We were playing Bremen, and I thought I broke my leg at first. I thought, man, he hit me. But I survived that. And, that probably the things that's helped Troy out was that, he had Benji and Mason beating on him, and he grew up that, they didn't bother him too much. I'm sure they, fortunately, Mason didn't try to teach Troy how to shoot. So, and I know that I'm going to get, Mason's told me, he says, you're going first, but I'm going to respond. So I'm planning on that happening. But I did that, and also I'm glad that Mr. Smith's here tonight, that, I wasn't a great athlete. I wanted to be an athlete, but I tried, kind of. But back then, to play basketball, you had to be in a fall sport, and I wasn't real thrilled about playing football at that time because we didn't have junior high football when we first started, and so when you was a freshman, you went in right away, and it was tough. And some of the guys that we had, Hal was a senior that year, and he had some big classmates, and I thought, I don't really want to get hit by those guys. So, I stayed away from it. Afterward, I've wished I would have played, but didn't. But anyway, I did really contribute a little bit to Mr. Smith's cross-country team because, in cross-country, the first 7 runners are placed for scoring. And when we ran then, we used to run out at the cow pasture out at Summit Chapel Hill. And we would start up high, and we'd run about a quarter of a mile and have to jump the ditch. And then we ran through a muck area. And before the season started, we always had to go down to the elevator and get gunny sacks and fill them with corn cobs so you could get across that muck area. Well, Ed Fellman and I were both running so we could play basketball. And since Mr. Smith was also my math teacher, I could count to 7. And so I made sure that, Ed and I were about 8 and 9, and when we'd get to the gunny sacks, we would slow up. And then whoever was behind us, these guys would try to run in the muck, and they'd sink to their knees. So, we learned to be blockers, and we were kind of contributors in a way, way back then. And Mason's mentioned that the long trip I made was for Mark when I drove the state of Indiana picking up tapes one day, and that's back when it said Wander, Indiana, on the license plates, and I did wander the state. I'll tell you, I left about 7 in the morning, think I got home about 9 at night. I have no idea how many miles I drove. It was over 500, I know. But anyway, Mark and the girls won the state, so it was a very successful trip for me and for the girls' program. And if it helped a little bit, Mark, I'm glad I did it. And I've also gone with Joe White and picked up tapes for Jason and traveled too. So, there's just some things you can do. I'm fortunate that I had a job that I could contribute to the school corporation, and I've had free time that I could do it. And, I'm thankful that Donna let me do it, but I go to a lot of ball games and do things, and she didn't go, but a lot of those times she would go shopping, so it cost me more by her going shopping. So I didn't always gain a lot. But anyway, that's how it worked. And my fellow inductees tonight, that Wally and I have been friends ever since he started at Triton, and he's a good friend. And he first came and he played independent basketball with us the first year he was here. And I remember going on scouting trips with him. And, and I've done lots of things with Wally over the years, and I really appreciate him going in tonight. And he did a really outstanding job for us over the years, just not as a coach, but as a teacher. He always had and I don't remember now, Wally, was it the 24 rules of Wally, or what was it that you always...
12 commandments.
That was it, okay. And so I'll try to cut mine short because I know Wally's going to take up a little time. And also, Troy, I'm glad that, you really deserve this honor tonight, and proud that I got to watch you grow up and play sports. And really the first thing I think I remember watching Troy play was baseball when Little League. And I'll tell you, he could hit the ball. And he did a lot of other things really good. And Troy, I'm proud to have watched you. And Taryn, I've known Taryn her whole life. And, I was on you, Mason, about your shooting ability. Well, that was the same thing. Taryn would have been a better shooter if she would have listened to Ryan more than to Carmen. But she did learn from Carmen how to, play defense, because Carmen liked to foul, and Taryn learned some traits too. So I appreciate that. And, I also want to commend both of these families of these two inductees, because over all the years and the games that I've gone to and activities, if any of their nieces, nephews, sons, daughters, whatever was playing, there was people from this family there at the games. And I know how much that had to mean to Carmen when she played, and to Orion, and I mean, just all of you. And I think that's really great that you guys did that. So really, that's, if I contributed anything to the Triton Athletic Department, I'm glad I did. Didn't do it to ever get any praise, just did it because I like sports and our community. Thank you. Thank you.
You did well.
Thank you. Didn't cut too long.
No, you did good.
I guess fair warning that I have the last word for all of the speakers tonight, so don't forget that. I was going to take it easy on Larry, but after that, I don't know if I should. No, what I was going to say about Larry tonight was that if you know Larry at all, you know he has the gift of gab, and he proved that here tonight. Larry can be found at various coffee shops and diners around the area, sharing and gathering information. And over the years, Larry has shared that coffee shop talk with me quite a few times, providing me with tips and ideas and suggestions, and sometimes just plain out telling me how to do my job. And while I give Larry a hard time, and he obviously does me, as you could tell, I really have appreciated Larry and all that he has given to the athletic department, and also given to me personally. Larry has been instrumental in a lot of ways for me, and he probably doesn't even know it, but just with the knowledge that he has about Triton sports. And so I've appreciated hearing it from Larry and being able to pass it on to others throughout my time here as athletic director. So Larry, thank you and congratulations again.